Hello and welcome to class. My name is Arwen Brooke, and today's mat class is going to feature a couple of props. We're going to use a pinky ball or something similar. It's firm and gives us a great massage for our feet. And we're also going to use our Gertie ball or something about this size that is squishy. So go ahead and find your props and meet me on the mat. All right, we're going to find our way to our feet and then bring with us our pinky ball or other massage device and set it up on the mat or on another surface. As you know, the firmer, the more intense, the softer the surface, the less intense. So choose accordingly. I always forget until I'm on it that my mat crinkles while I massage. So I'm going to step off. What I'm doing, or what I'd like to do with you all today, is to just keep up with a bit of care for our feet so that we stay on top of our foot wellness as the seasons change. So you might expect a bit more of this during class. And if you want to bring your ball to class without being asked, you can always get started with that while you wait for class to begin. So just a reminder of options that you have. Using the pinky ball on a regular basis under the feet is really where you get the most benefit. So we're massaging the entire underside of the foot and seeking out any places that need extra love. The inner and outer arch are both places that can be quite exciting or sore, but give them some love. And if you don't have any tightness or tenderness, that's great news. And then massaging around the ball of the foot and the heel, and sometimes maybe even around the edges, depending on how stable you're feeling. And then we're going to place the ball under the ball of the foot, land the heel down, and we're going to swivel the foot left to right, roll the ball underfoot, and we're also going to try spinning the foot, kind of twisting it from the heel down to the toes in the way that brings the big toe and then the pinky toe right down towards the mat. Even if they don't touch, they're going in that direction. So there's this kind of flexy twist happening to the sort of twisted plate of the foot. The base of your foot has the ability to spiral from heel to toe. All right, and then we'll bring the ball underneath the heel instead of the toes and massage the heel by going side to side again, pivoting on the toe. And this is something that should feel really good. You get to determine how much weight you put into it and choose your own adventure that way. And then a few more little flushing kind of massagey rolls to send all of that circulation into all of that tissue underfoot. Okay, and then go ahead and just pause before we move on to the other side and stand on both feet and see how you're feeling in both. And then we'll take the top of the back or the same side foot. So if you massage your right foot already, go ahead and take the top of it behind you on the mat. You'll definitely want some padding for this. You'll place the toes, the toenails sort of down on the mat and the top of the foot, and you're just stretching the top of the foot. If you want to have something to hold on to, move to a wall and breathe. A softening of both knees can give you a different stretch. Perhaps that's a good thing. Perhaps you're not excited about that. So go ahead and choose what suits you best, and then we'll move on to the other side. All right, so just your happy, free, general massage on the second foot, rolling around and encouraging the blood flow into all of those cells underfoot and inside around the joints. And then we're going to take the ball of the foot onto the ball and then add that twist and roll from side to side, big toe and then pinky toe moving towards the mat, ankle kind of spiraling, rolling side to side, top of the foot stretching as it wraps around the ball. And you're putting as much weight as you want. More equals more intense, less becomes less so. Then we'll move the ball under the heel and position it in a place that feels comfortable. It might be right under the heel, it might be right in front of the heel. Both have got, value to massage, and you might try a little bit of each. And then we're going to just finish with a few more swooshy rolls. And then take your feet together, or feet onto the mat, both side by side, I should say. And then test your second side, top of the foot stretch. So toenails down and the top of the foot stretching. You don't have to put a lot of effort into this, but the idea is if you were feeling like the stretch is not, speaking to you yet, try kicking the foot forward as if you were going to kick the leg right forward, but of course not. And a soft knee bend will just shift the stretch into new territory worth exploring, and then we'll come on up from there. Okay, so we're going to use the pinky ball again on the mat, but setting it aside makes sense for now. Let's come to standing somewhere in the open space we've created for our practice, and just take your arms through a few big circles. We'll inhale up to the sky and exhale down, and find some big full breaths, and then let air just flow freely out through your nose or your mouth. Inhale up, exhale down, and then we'll take that one more time to the top. Take hold of your left wrist, soften your knees, and stretch over to the right. Draw your ribs to the left, and your arms, your hands, your wrists to the right. And then rise up, switch hands, take the knees soft again, and side bend left, and draw your ribs over to the right. And up, and then reach your arms wide and down. We're going to take our feet into a wide stance. Take your toes forward in parallel, and then you're going to fold at the hips and knees, and place your hands on your knees. We're going to take the fingertips aimed in and the shoulders down away from the ears, but allow them to move here. We're going to take the left shoulder back and draw your right shoulder towards your center, bringing the right side of your rib cage towards your center. I'm demonstrating opposite, so apologies if that's confusing. And then come back to center. So if I'm mirroring you, you're drawing your left shoulder back, drawing your right shoulder forward, and bringing the right side of your rib cage around through the center. And again, steer that twist into your body. Use your arms for leverage. You get to kind of push into your knee, push into your thigh. The shoulders are moving. Maybe they're elevating a little bit. We're just kind of stretching out, warming up. And last one in each direction. And then find your way to center. And then let's fold in half. Let's let the hands rest down by your toes or your center of your mat. Soft knees. And then just breathe into your back body. On the exhale, push through the feet and stretch your legs towards straight. Inhale, bend. Exhale, stretch. And again, we'll just do that 2 more times. And one more. And then as you exhale, we'll roll up to standing, bringing the spine right up over the feet, hips, and then stacking the shoulders and head atop. And then let's take your hips to the left and circle to the front and all the way around and back, and just do that a couple more times. And then reverse your direction. And then right back to the center. We'll step the feet back in towards one another and take a parallel stance and move into some squats. I'm going to turn to the side for extra good viewing, and we're going to reach the arms forward and rise back up and reach and rise and reach and rise. One more time, reach and hold. From here, you're going to take a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, we're going to roll to the balls of the feet. And then lower the heels down. And again, rolling and lowering. Thinking about the weight of our body shifting from a full foot onto just the toes. See if you can bring the weight evenly to all 10 toes rather than just out to the pinky toe. And one more time like that. And then land the heels, fold, and let the hands and head fall towards the mat. Soft knees here. Exhale, stretch the legs towards straight. and repeat. If you can, bring your eyes towards your belly button to increase the stretch that includes the neck. Inhale, soft knees. Exhale, stretch. And one more time. And then let's take your breath in and exhale, rolling up all the way to standing. Just circle your arms around your sides, offering a little bit of freedom to the neck and shoulders. And then we're going to take our feet back to the back of the mat and take our hands on a nice big circle up to the sky. And then rolling down, fingers stretch towards the toes, spine rolls all the way down, walking your hands forward along the mat. We're going to move into a downward facing dog. And as you find your way into that position, softening the knees, shrugging the shoulders down your back. See if you can find that length from your head to your tail. And then we'll exhale and stretch the legs towards straight, only as far as it feels comfortable in both the back and the legs. And then we're going to just go into a little running in place. Further treating those feet and calves to some warmth and mobility. And then I'd like to bring you out into a plank. And you're going to come forward, and if you need to rest at any moment, go right ahead. But we're going to hold here for a few moments and really power on that energy of the whole body. Your arms might be more fatiguing than another part, but we're going to feel the wholeness of our being from our head to our heels, from our arms to our abdominals, to our inner thighs, all of it just kind of starting to come online together, holding you against gravity, pushing the mat down, flying through space. We're going to bring the knees to the mat and rest, but before we go all the way back, bring your Gertie ball into place between your thighs and your ribs, and then stretch over the ball and let your arms rest in any position that suits you, but hands forward most likely going to work best. Your head, if it's not meeting the ground, that's okay. If it feels strained, you might bring something up to pad your forehead. We're going to stay for a good few breaths so that we can benefit from all the positive change that happens with these big breaths into the back of the body. So spotlight on the ribs, spotlight on the low back, and the movement and the stretch that's happening there. And then move your hands both over to the right side, and we'll take a full breath in with that left side opening up even more. And then take your hands over to the left. Breathe into that right lung. And then come back to center. And then we'll just bring the hands towards the knees as we slide up to kneeling. We're going to take the ball with us to a mat. We're going to lie down with the ball underneath our upper back. So you'll position it behind the heart, centered between your shoulder blades, and then support your head in your hands. And begin by letting the heart open as you stretch back over the ball. So as we've practiced in the past, allowing the front of the chest to open like a flower with many, many petals, including the center of your chest, including the collarbones, including the bottom ribs. Let all those petals just fall open like a very, a flower in full bloom and maybe just about to finish. That looseness of the petals, including the elbows, including even the head. And then like some flowers that close up at night, or we'll go with that. So I've been watching our California poppies doing this, but also some of those bigger blooms can do this as well, where the petals kind of close in a little bit. So we're going to bring our outer petals in. That's the elbows, That's a chin nod, and that's a little sinking of the bottom ribs. And then from here, with the rest of the flower in full bloom, with just a little bit of a gathering around the edges, we're going to sink the bottom ribs and float up into our abdominal curl. And just practice being this wide open flower. Elbows reaching wide into the sky, and movement coming from the bottom ribs, tilting into the ball, tilting the whole flower. And coming up, we're going to stay here at the top for a moment and just breathe into our back ribs, just as we practiced on in our child's pose, filling up the lungs and then sinking the bottom ribs. And then we're going to start to move into a side bend, taking the head and shoulders over to the right, open the flower to the back, circle left, and then bring the flower around to the center. Reverse your direction each time, circling and rolling around the center. And repeat. Letting the stirring action of your spine churn and stir all of the connections from your pelvis up to your neck and shoulders, including bigger muscles like your obliques and your lats, and then smaller connections or more subtle connections like your diaphragm and your deep abdominal muscles. And then bring it back to center at the top and hold, and then stretch all the way back. If your head can land on the mat, go ahead and release your arms and take them out to the sides. If that doesn't suit you, keep your hands behind your head. If your arms are capable of opening out to the sides, you can enjoy a little bit of a peck stretch by letting your arms circle the heart with the arms resting fully on the mat. If you have your hands behind your head still, you can just open your chest and allow the stretch to come through the shoulders in a more stationary way. And so whichever version you're doing, just take another moment there. And then we'll all come back to that ab curl to come off of the ball. You can take yourself right up to seated, transfer the ball now to the inner thighs. We're going to come right back down to resting on the mat, and then we're going to take our feet into parallel. Take a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, we're going to tip the pelvis towards 12 o'clock and peel up into our bridge. Pause at the top. Feel your shoulders anchor into the mat, and then sense your rib cage here. If there's a chance that the lower ribs could sink down a little bit more, find that here. And if the pelvis could tilt a little bit more, go ahead and do so now. And then reach your knees out over your toes. And see if you can still feel with the shoulders pressed into the mat, the ribs heavy, that flower is still open. And then you're going to keep opening it as you roll your ribs down to the mat, vertebra by vertebra, and then release the pelvis back to neutral. We'll do that again 2 more times. Tip and peel, shoulders pressing into the mat, ribs heavy, pelvis tilted, knees reaching over the toes, and then pressing the shoulders into the mat. Roll the ribs down, rib by rib, and ask for that movement to come into your spine, vertebra by vertebra, all the way through the low waist, back to neutral. And again, pressing the arms into the mat, tip the pelvis, rolling up, hold at the top, shoulders pressing open, knees reaching beyond the toes, ribs heavy, and then we roll, 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 all the way down. And then we'll take the ball and place it under the pelvis, finding our little plug, making sure it's not poking us in the behind. We're going to set our hips on the ball and then just release into gravity. And with a real heaviness to our pelvis, let's roll the hips side to side, just sliding the tail left and right, and then come on back to center. And then we're going to start to move into our 12 and 6. And see if you can smush the ball while you roll it towards 12 o'clock. Less so in the other direction, but really smush it down as you tilt towards 12. And then we'll bring it to 12 and hold there. Scoop and float one knee and then float the other, staying right over the pelvis with the knees for now. You're going to move the pelvis 12 and 6, keeping the knees relatively still, tilting the pelvis underneath them. And then take the next 12 o'clock and hold there and add in toe taps, right and then left. And then bring your knees up. Take them into your chest, letting your low back sink towards the mat. And we're just going to breathe again for 3 breaths, fully letting the thighs kind of compress your lungs at the front and breathing into the back, that space around the sides and back body. And exhale, just settle a little deeper. And one more breath like that. And then we'll lower one foot and then the other. We're going to move the ball not all the way out from under. You're going to move it south along the spine to the tail, just as much as it takes to give you that little lift to the tail and the connection of your low back on the mat. From there, bring your knees into your chest and then circle your hands around to the back of the head. And we'll start with the elbows, that fluttering of the petals of your flower back inward, just on the hint of closing, with the rest of the flower wide open, chest open. Then we nod the chin and seek the bottom ribs to curl up. Let your ab curl be whatever size it is. It doesn't need to be super high here. The ball definitely inhibits us. And then we're going to take that third ab curl and keep it. Take another breath, and on the exhale, stretch your legs up towards the sky. We'll start with an open and squeeze back together. Open and squeeze towards your midline. Can you feel the connection inward and at the same time remain open through the heart and chest without sort of pinching inward or, gripping inwardly through the heart? And let the chin nod and the head press into the hands with every return. And then hold there and bring your right leg towards you, your left leg away, and switch. And then bend your knees, lower your head and shoulders back down. Take another breath, and on the exhale, we come right back up, sinking the ribs down and opening that flower. Take your hands to your ankles, pull yourself into a nice little ball. You're going to reach the arms and legs long, and then exhale, circle the arms, pull the knees back in for double leg stretch. Everything reaches out, everything comes back in. One more. Pull it in and rest down. Last thing, we're going to take the arms up towards the ceiling and back. And on the exhale, we're curling up into our hundreds position. Take your legs wherever you like. Bent knee to straight to lower down. The ball can support us in a little bit of a lower position. Begin breathing. Try to find the backs of your body, the breath moving into your lungs. One more breath. pull the knees in. Lower your head and shoulders down. Awesome job. We're going to take the ball from underneath the hips now and lower all the way down. Take the ball once again between your knees and step your feet a little further away from your hips. Actually, let's do this. Let's pull the knees into your chest. We'll do a couple of variations here. We're going to take hold of the sides of the legs, nod the chin, pushing the knees into your hands. We'll come up into our balance point, land the feet, reach the arms long, lift the chest, open that flower, squeeze the ball, and roll all the way down. Inhale the arms back. If you want to take hold of your legs and rock and roll up as you did in the last version, you may. Otherwise, you can just roll all the way up. So we're going into a roll-up series, and we're doing bent knees first and rolling all the way down. Inhale the arms back. Circle, connect, and rise up. Inhale at the top. Exhale, squeeze the ball, but keep that heart flower open all the way down. Inhale back. And exhale, squeeze on the way down. And then let's stretch. Let's take the ball from between the knees and stretch the legs long. Reach through the heels. You can have the feet a little bit apart, reaching the arms back. Exhale, circle the arms and help yourself or peel all the way up. Reach towards your toes. Breathe into the back body. Exhale, curl all the way back down. Inhale and exhale, peeling up. Inhale, reach towards your toes, and exhale, roll all the way down. We're going to use our pinky ball next, so I'm going to have you roll up one more time, and then use that opportunity to collect your pinky ball, and then we're rolling back down. As you come to the mat, you can rest, first of all. Take a stretch of any kind, and then we're going to move into our supine position and have our pinky ball nearby. We're going to place it under our right shoulder, setting it up so that it's right in our upper traps, which is the uppermost muscles along the top of the shoulder as well as down into the back. So you're going to place it somewhere in that tissue where you can kind of still see the ball from above, and then you're going to just rest down into it. And then take your right arm through a few movements, reaching your arm up to the sky and back overhead, and see how that feels. And then we'll take the arm through some circles out to the side. Same idea. So the ball is stationary, and then the muscle kind of moves over it, which invites some release there. And then we're going to take the arm down by your sides, pause a moment, lift your hips up, which shifts the angle of pressure into that muscle. And you're going to reach the right arm up and back down, and do that again, maybe 3 times total. And then we'll go 3 out to the side, and 2, and 1, and then let the arm come side and the hips come down. Now, we could spend a lot of time on each shoulder, but we're going to just pick one more spot. So you're going to tuck the ball a little bit further in underneath you, so it's now maybe not visible from above, and try that new location. Your shoulders might be, calling out for a different position, so putting the ball kind of wherever you feel you need it. I could give you some ideas, but if you're feeling something, go with what you feel. Massage what's calling out for some massage. And we're going to go through, again, 3 arm reaches, 3 arm circles, and then a bridge that lifts our hips, and then that arm movement again through some really interesting, maybe intense sensations. I'm moving on the quicker side. If you want to go slower and do less reps, that's okay. If you're just breathing through something, that's totally great. That's like exactly what you should do if that's what's sort of feeling best to you. And then we're going to let that shoulder have a moment of just ease as we switch sides. We'll take the ball when you're ready over to the left and position it again kind of in the higher trap where you'll again be able to see it from above, and then just check in with those muscle fibers by moving, taking the arm overhead and back, and then out to the side. And then we'll do a bridge when you're through that, letting the angle shift, and then try that same series again. Arm overhead and down. And then arm out to the side. And then bring it in and rest down. And then your second position with that ball in this shoulder is completely up to you. You might just move it a little bit lower on the body, or you could travel a little bit wider, a little narrower, whatever seems kind of a value to you. When in doubt, just try a different spot closer to your shoulder blade and similar to what you did on the first side. And then notice what's happening. You might be having very different experiences side to side. And you know what to do with that information while just noticing if your left side needs something different than your right side and going ahead and offering that. We try to treat the two sides as evenly as we can, but when they're not sort of having even experiences, then they require some different care. So we'll just go with what they feel above all else. And then getting close to wrapping up, but take your time if you need more time on any particular spot. If you are complete, then you're just going to let your shoulders rest a moment on the mat. And then we're going to take our whole body over to one side. I'm going to roll to my right side, and I'm going to move my props because I'm going to do pinwheel arms. So we're going to roll onto the right side and then stack your palms in front of you as you stretch your arms out long and to the front. And then we'll circle that top hand. First it reaches forward, go beyond the bottom hand, and then circle. Trace your fingers around the center, your heart really, and bring it all the way back. So this is just feel good yumminess all the way around. Let your rib cage really roll open. Even your top hip can roll if it so desires. If you like the way it feels to really stretch between the shoulder and the hip, then keeping the knees stacked, keeping the hips stacked will ask more of your shoulders in the stretch, and working in that direction is a great idea. And then let's just take one more all the way around and back and stay in the stretch for a moment. And then play with moving the palm up and palm down. And one more. And then finish the circle all the way back to the start. Come up onto your bottom elbow so you can prop your head in your hands. We'll get into some clam shells here. You're going to spiral the top knee up towards the sky and keeping some connection in the trunk. You're bringing the bottom ribs back. And then let's pause, lift the feet together and open and close, continuing that clam shell. Good. I'm going to do about 5, 4, and 3, 2, and 1, and then lower down. Take your legs out in front of you slightly. Turn your heels in, toes out, and we'll take the leg through our developé. Slide the toes in and up along the bottom leg and then squeeze them together. Drawing in and up and flex and squeeze. Toes, and then lead with the heel. And toes and heel, and 2. Last one, squeeze, and then pause there and go into circles. Still in a turnout. Take that leg on some big, stretchy, reaching circles. Reach out and try to sample as much space as you can. One more in that direction. And then we reverse, circle back. And again. And last one. And then we're going to take hold of that top ankle. Reach back with the top hand, grab the ankle, and stay in a stretch. You're going to try to bring your pelvis forward, squeezing your buns, tipping the pelvis towards 12 o'clock, if that makes any sense in this position. Feeling like your asses and your ribs connect towards one another. And then release. And then we're going to come onto your tummy. And then take your same stretch. Bring your forehead down onto your hands. Reach back with that left hand. Find your ankle. And then press your pelvis into the mat. Same as you just were feeling on your side. Trying to bring your pubic bone forward. And the knee may float off the mat. If it doesn't, that's okay. And you're going to just keep breathing and draw the knees narrow. And imagine your left femur could grow just a little bit longer. And then kicking your foot into your hand, let the shoulders stretch back, heart open, and feel that heart flower spread its petals again, all the way out to the edges. And then release. And we're going to roll to the other side, which, as usual, means easy rollover for some, and some of us are going to just do our crawling kitty cat movement. So you're going to take your knees bent, arms outstretched in front of your shoulders, palms together, and then reach your top hand forward and start to circle all the way around and back. Say hello to your props and water bottles and circle. Try to really fall into the stretch so there's a real sense of letting go as you roll open. We've started and kind of continued to move with a lot of awareness in the rib cage, just in that it has the capacity to move as a whole or really move in parts, all those ribs kind of spiraling around your spine and opening like accordion files and just giving you these different experiences of stretch and space, all coinciding with flexibility that we really want in our spine, including our upper back, being able to flex when we need to flex and also arrive nice and tall when we want to be in a nice, strong, tall alignment. And so we're just kind of inviting that all in by offering movement in every direction and then stretching out what's tight that connects us in these ways. So when you're at the back of your next stretch, play with a little bit of movement in the rotation of your arm by bringing your palm up and your palm down. And this is in the stretchy places in the back of the movement. It doesn't need to be, like if it was hours on a clock, you could be at 9 o'clock, 10, 11, or down near 7 and 8. It's all good. Whatever stretch you're receiving, that's what we're here to find and deliver. And then we'll bring ourselves back to the front, coming up onto our bottom elbow and hand, supporting the head and the hand, and then bending the knees. We'll go into our clam shells, spinning the top knee up towards the sky, and connecting our ribs to our pelvis here. And then bringing the feet together and up and continuing. And then from here, we're going to stretch the legs out long, bring the heels together, toes apart, and go into our développé. Stretch the toes in and up, squeeze the heels down. Take the leg through this fluid movement to the best of your fluid ability. And reach through the leg as it comes down. And stretch. Good. And 2. And 1. When you're connected next, you're going to circle the leg forward and up. And again, really try to reach out in every direction. Feel the space around you. Know that you have way more range to the front, but that doesn't mean we just completely give up on that backward reach of the circle. Just go slowly and find your balance between reaching and stabilizing. Pause at the bottom, reverse your direction, and circle. Last one. And then bring your leg back and take hold of your ankle. Give yourself that stretch and see if you can find it here before we find it on the mat, where you press your pelvis into the mat that will be in, that you're imagining to be in front of you now. Breathe. And then release. And we're going to take that to the tummy. So come on down. Both hands support the forehead at first, and then we'll reach the right hand back to find the ankle and stretch. We're going to send the knee down alongside the inner thigh of the left. Press the hips into the mat and breathe. Maybe the knee is lifting, maybe not, but the pelvis is heavy no matter what. And then we're going to kick the foot into our hand and let it draw the right shoulder back and bring our heart flower forward, opening all of the petals. And then release, but without releasing the ankle, keep the foot. If you're feeling comfortable with single leg and you want to stay with that, you're going to do one more on each side. If you're feeling interested and comfortable with the idea of taking both ankles in hand, you're going to do that now. So for those with one side, we're all going to kick into our hands and let that bring our heart flower forward and up. If you're doing single side, you're going to release down and switch. If you're still doing double, then you're going to stay and kick a little more and just breathe. Opening your heart flower, pressing your pelvis into the mat, lifting your abdominals in and up. And then everyone's going to rest down. Release the ankles, take your hands to the mat, push up, push back, find your downward dog. Rather than rounding the spine after extension, we're going to just reach it into length, keeping the heart forward, reaching the hips back over the heels, lifting the bottom ribs. And then take your right foot up to the sky, stretch up, touch the stars, and then lower it back down. And then reach the left foot up and lower it down. And then we're going to roll out into our plank position and hold here and feel into that whole body again with the lift of the heart, power in the arms, maybe a little more ease in the shoulders, more connected through the abs and the legs. And breathe for 3, 2, 1. Lift the hips, find downward dog again. Take your time, organize, get comfortable, really stretch out your 3-pointed pyramid, reaching your sit bones to the sky, your heels to the mat, and your heart towards your hands. And then we'll ripple out into our plank again and hold. We're going to take the right foot and lift it, and then bring the right knee towards the right elbow. Reach it back. Bring the right knee towards the left elbow. Bring it back. Bring the knee through the hands or to the mat, and we're moving to our pigeon stretch. If you feel better in a figure 4 stretch, take that position instead, and then just settle into the stretch by letting your right hip sink towards the mat. We'll take our hands to our fingertips and lift up first. And then from here, you're going to find that lift to the abdominals and see if there's any room to bend that back knee, pulling your toes towards the sky. If that feels good, you can hold there. Try drawing the knees towards one another, like you're pulling the right hip back and the left thigh forward. If you find there's still room to move, you might reach back with your left hand and take hold of the left ankle. Kicking your foot into your hand, sending your heart forward and up, squeezing the legs together. If you're back here with the legs straight, feel free to stay or even lower down to your forearms. We're going to pause and breathe for 3 and 2 and 1. Release there. Bring the hands to the mat, tuck the toes under on the back leg, reach your right foot all the way up to the stars, and then circle it around and back to the mat. Back to downward dog, meeting there. We're going to roll back out to plank. Take your left foot lifted, reach it knee to left elbow, bring it back, knee to right elbow, bring it back, and then bring it forward to the mat and lower down into your pigeon stretch. Again, figure 4 if that's your jam. Everybody settles into a stretch here. Some of you might be staying here, fingertips on the mat. Others of you might be melting over that front thigh, and then still others might be following along, bending the back knee, reaching the toes up to the sky. As you get into this moment, pull the knees together as if you could squeeze the mat into a little mound in the middle. We're going to then perhaps stay here, or perhaps circle the right hand around to the back to take hold of the ankles. Still breathing, still lifting the abdominals, feeling the connection of the left and the right side give us the power to rise up through the center. 2 more breaths. 1 more. And then from wherever you are, release and place your hands on the mat. Toes tucked under on that back foot. We'll reach the left foot up and back, touch the stars, and then circle all the way back to the mat. We're going to roll forward to plank once more and swivel our hips to the right. Turn onto the left hand, reach the right arm up to the sky. Take your top arm long, lift the ribs up to the sky. Let's side bend, bring your hips towards the mat. Lift the ribs, lift the hips, and side bend, let the hips just soften down a little bit. 1 more time, lifting up, and then lowering down, and then bringing both hands to the mat, turning to the other side. Reach your left arm up to the sky. Lift your ribs, reach your arm overhead, and then let the hips soften towards the mat. Lift and side bend, and lower down, and lift, and lower, and then come back to both hands and hips to the sky. Find that downward dog. Take your knees soft, and then stretch your legs towards straight. Walk your hands towards your feet towards your hands. Fold into a nice gooey forward fold. Give your head a shake. Let your knees be soft. And then we're just going to slowly lower the hips. And as you do, let the heels come off of the mat, and you're going to come into this little low squat. Some folks can keep their heels down. Many of us cannot. We're going to just pause right here, find our balance, and then reach the arms out in front. Take your time, find something just still and stable to gaze upon as you start to hover your hips off of your heels, hover your ribs off of your thighs, hover your thighs off of your calves, and keep hovering up and up and up and up slowly all the way to the top, wobbles and all, and then reach your arms up and then lower the heels, reach the arms wide. Nice job. Let's close with a little happy swivel. Slough off any residual stuckness or tension. And then take your arms by your sides, feet into a nice steady base parallel, and then reach your arms up and overhead. We'll take the arms wide and back down. Let your breath come in and cleanse you on a cellular level, feeling all of your cells drink in some fresh, clean oxygen. And then bring your palms together at the top, hover your heart up to meet your hands, and we'll close right there. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you had fun in class and that you'll come back for more. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave them in the comments below. And if you'd like to speak with me or reach me more directly, you can find me through my website at arwenbrooke.com. And finally, if you aren't already following me on Instagram, you can do so at arwenbrooke_Pilates. All right, thanks and have a wonderful day.